Trauma isn't all in the mind. It's an injury that can kill. A couple of years ago, I met Dave Salt, a veteran of many wars, including Iraq and Afghanistan. Dave had one of the worst cases of post-traumatic stress disorder I'd ever seen. At one point, he was so tormented by night terrors and flashbacks that he was drinking a bottle of vodka for breakfast just to stay sane. Many soldiers don't reach out for help for fear of harming their careers, but Dave grabbed at lifelines. He was in the care of the MOD and more recently, the NHS and the charity Combat Stress. When I met him, he was planning to study to be a psychotherapist, but he still suffered flashbacks to Iraq and, as he put it, felt like a dead man walking. In late July, Dave's words proved tragically prophetic. He was found dead in his bedsit, having suffered liver failure. Dave served almost 20 years in the army, but he died alone, finally succumbing to the effects of alcoholism caused by the many traumas he'd experienced on tour. He was 45. A century after an epidemic of shell shock tore through the British Army at the Battle of the Somme, we're failing many thousands of service personnel bearing psychological scars from our modern-day wars. Typically, those with the worst cases of PTSD end up bouncing between NHS psychiatric wards, ever more despairing families, and even prison cells, without ever receiving appropriate care. We can fix this, but the government needs to be honest about the scale of the unmet need and address the gaping holes in our current system. We need to acknowledge the limits of talk treatments like cognitive behavioural therapy and embrace pioneering new approaches based in the latest neuroscience. Trauma isn't all in the mind. It's an injury that can kill.